The world didn't notice it at first. A faint transmission, buried in the static between stations, coordinates, a date, and 7 words. The islands will rise when Africa remembers. Those words would reach Kingston before dawn. Inside Jamaica House, Prime Minister Andrew Holness stared at the encrypted file, his reflection flickering in the glow of the monitor. No sender, no signature, only the crest of Burkina Faso, sealed in red. Was it a prank, a threat, or something far more dangerous, something the world was never meant to hear? A diplomatic courier confirmed it. The seal was authentic, a private channel belonging to the office of Ibrahim Traoré, president of Burkina Faso. But why Jamaica? Holness whispered to his security chief. Does he want an alliance? Or to expose one? Outside, rain hit the glass like static. Somewhere deep within the Prime Minister's office, intelligence officers traced the signal back through a maze of African servers, each one wiped clean seconds before discovery. Someone wanted this message seen, and someone else wanted it erased. Centuries ago, ships crossed these same waters carrying bodies in chains. Now, new ships cross them carrying oil, data, and secrets. Historians had long spoken of an unbroken current, a spiritual bridge between West Africa and the Caribbean. But this message, it wasn't about history. It was about something alive. Traoré's aides denied any communication. Yet in Ouagadougou, locals reported soldiers guarding the Ministry of Foreign Affairs through the night. Inside, a single office remained lit. On the desk, a world map marked by crimson pins. Ghana, Nigeria, Jamaica, Cuba, and a line connecting them across the ocean. A forgotten chain reborn. By week's end, the world's intelligence network was humming. CIA reports mentioned unusual pan-Atlantic coordination. MI6 flagged the same phrase. In Washington, analysts debated whether Traoré was forging a third axis, an ideological alliance between Africa and the Caribbean. But one analyst, codenamed Mara, saw something stranger. She replayed the message at half speed and found hidden frequencies. A Morse pattern embedded beneath the words. Decoded, it read, "You forgot us once. Don't forget again." Who was the message truly for? Holness, or the descendants listening across the sea? 3 days later, Jamaica's ambassador to Ghana, David Reed, boarded a flight to Burkina Faso. He was never seen again. Witnesses said his convoy vanished outside Bobo Dioulasso during a sandstorm. Only the driver returned, mute, eyes wide with terror. Back in Kingston, a second envelope arrived. No wax seal this time, just a photograph. Ancient trade routes drawn over a modern map. Across the Caribbean Sea, thin red lines matched the old slave ports to modern shipping lanes. The implication was terrifying. Someone was moving something, or someone, through history's old arteries. In a dimly lit chamber beneath the People's Palace in Ouagadougou, a camera clicked on. Traoré's face emerged, half-shadowed. "The chains were never broken," he said. "They were redesigned." The video lasted only 47 seconds before deletion, but fragments spread online, carried by digital whispers. He spoke of a chain of the Atlantic, a network of nations trading not in goods, but in obedience. He warned that a storm was coming, a storm of revelation, and his final words before the screen cut to black. "Tell Jamaica the tide is turning." Kingston erupted. Protests filled the streets. Placards read, "Africa is calling" and "No more masters." Radio hosts debated the impossible. Was Traoré offering unity or unveiling blackmail? Holness appeared before the press. "Jamaica's sovereignty is not up for auction," he declared. But even as he spoke, ships bearing African flags anchored silently off Caribbean ports, officially for training exercises. A journalist from Portmore found satellite evidence showing encrypted exchanges between the Burkina Faso defense network and several Caribbean naval bases. The story was too big to hide now. Inside a Kingston data center, a young programmer named Leah Grant decoded the second layer of Traoré's transmission. Each line of code translated into coordinates along the Atlantic, places where sunken ships had never been recovered. One marked site lay off Jamaica's northern coast. Divers were dispatched quietly at dawn. What they found wasn't gold nor weapons. It was a metallic capsule sealed tight, etched with symbols of both African tribes and Caribbean crests. Inside, digital drives containing centuries-old shipping records, secret treaties, and proof of corporate control over post-colonial economies. The capsule had been waiting. A final transmission came through the same encrypted frequency. Traoré's voice, calm, defiant. "History does not sleep," he said. "It watches. And when those who profited from silence tremble, the descendants will rewrite the map." He called it Operation Remembrance, a plan to restore economic control to African and Caribbean nations through shared gold, reserves, and digital independence. But there was more. He spoke of ghost governments, of entities that manipulated both continents for decades. The message cut off mid-sentence, jammed, intercepted, erased. That night, Holness met privately with his inner circle. Should Jamaica align with Africa's new order, or remain under the Western umbrella? The choice could change everything. He turned off the lights and replayed Traoré's first message one last time. The static softened, and the voice whispered once more, "The islands will rise when Africa remembers." Holness looked out across Kingston Harbor, where the silhouettes of anchored ships glowed faintly under the moon. Somewhere in that darkness, the future was waiting. Narrator, final words, fading. Maybe the warning wasn't about war. Maybe it wasn't even about politics. Maybe it was a prophecy, a call for memory, a signal to the descendants of both sides of the ocean, that history's tides were turning again. The message was never about nations. It was about awakening. Traoré's urgent warning, a fictional mystery inspired by the echoes of history.